Planning your first Camino can feel completely overwhelming. There's a lot of advice out there and it's not always easy to know where to start. But here's the thing, you do not have to have everything figured out before you start. This is based on my own experience walking multiple Caminos and the lessons that I've learned along the way. Remember, thousands of people walk the Camino every year with no prior experience. You absolutely can do it. But here are 26 things you can do to get yourself ready for your first Camino. Number 1, choose a route. This is the first and honestly the most daunting decision that you'll have to make, but the good news is there's no wrong choice. The Camino Frances is the most well-known. It starts in France and goes all the way to Santiago, covering 800 kilometers. It's popular for a good reason. It's well marked, it's well serviced, and it's full of fellow pilgrims, but it is far from the only option. There's also the Camino del Norte and the Via de la Plata, as well as some more lesser known routes. The Camino Portuguese is super popular if you have around 2 weeks. We've written extensively about this. You can find our detailed guides, and we've also got a video. So think about how much time you've got, what scenery appeals to you, and how much company you want on the road. Number 2, book a flight. So once you've picked a route, your flight options become a lot clearer. For the Frances or the Norte, most people fly into Biarritz, Pamplona or Bilbao. For the Portuguese route, then it's Porto or Lisbon. For southern Spain, then you would want Sevilla or Almeria. Most routes end in Santiago, which has decent connections, but if you're coming from outside Europe, you may need to route through somewhere bigger like Madrid. Number 3, start some training walks. The best way to train for the Camino is unsurprisingly by walking. Even small changes help. Walking to work, taking the stairs, parking a bit further away. But if you can get proper training walks in, build them up gradually to the kind of distances you'll be covering daily on the Camino. And here's the tip that actually makes a difference. Walk 2 days back to back. The Camino isn't hard because of one long day. It's hard because of the accumulation of many long days. And training your legs to keep going when they're already tired is one of the most useful things that you can do to prepare beforehand. 4, buy or borrow your gear. You do not need to spend a fortune, but the right kit does make a real difference. The essentials, in my view, are a well-fitting backpack around 40 litres, good walking shoes or boots, a sleeping bag liner or a sleeping bag depending on the season, a microfiber Trek towel, and a few sets of quick dry clothing. See what you can borrow before buying everything new. Someone you know might have a decent backpack that fits you. Decathlon and Amazon do solid, affordable options if you're starting from scratch. But don't overspend on your gear until you have tested it. You can always upgrade if you know that you enjoy it and you decide to come back to do another route. 5, walk with your backpack. So once you've got your pack, load it up to roughly about the weight you'll be carrying and test it on your training walks. This will show up any problem areas fast, so chafing straps, an awkward fit, pressure points on your back, that sort of thing. I learned the hard way that strapless tops and certain backpack designs do not mix. So small adjustments to how you wear your backpack and load your pack made a huge difference, as well as the clothing you're wearing underneath it. Number 6, join Camino forums. The Camino community online is really, really friendly. And we love like the Camino to Santiago subreddits. There's a one for newbies as well. Camino Santiago Facebook groups. There's like also a Facebook group called Camigas, which is aimed at women aiming to connect with other women before they walk. That one is super great. Number 7, download a Camino app. The route is well marked everywhere, but an app just helps enormously with planning and also course correction if you do happen to get lost en route. Buen Camino is my personal favourite app. It has GPS tracking, it has stage info, and it has albergue listings for most of the routes. Wise Pilgrim is popular too, but it just depends which route you're on. Number 8, assess any injuries. If you've got a dodgy knee, like that recurrent ankle problem, or not the week before you leave, a physio can tell you honestly whether the Camino is realistic for you and what exercises you might be able to do to help, and whether you need extra support like a brace or poles. It's better to have that planned before you get en route. Number 9, create a blister prevention plan. Everyone has their own hack. Others go for the double sock technique or a thin liner like a pop sock under a thicker walking sock. On my first Camino, I wore pop socks, so they're like stockings under my socks, and this worked really, really well. These days, I smother my feet in Vaseline before every day's walking, and I haven't had a blister since I started doing that, or at least not a serious one. Everyone's feet are different, so test a few things on your training walks and pack plenty of blister plasters. Compeed are the gold standard and they're easy to find in Spanish pharmacies if you run out. Number 10, do a little strength and mobility training. Walking is absolutely the best prep, but some targeted strength work makes a real difference too, especially for your knees and hips. So things like squats, lunges, calf raises, hip flexor stretches. If you do that consistently in the weeks beforehand, that can really make a difference and help to prevent injury. Yoga and Pilates are also popular with pilgrims for the same reason. Number 11, road test your footwear. On my first Camino, I made possibly the worst mistake. I wore trainers that were marginally too small. I was in serious pain within days, to the point I actually cut holes in them to give my toes room. It was not a highlight. Since then, footwear fitting has been a non-negotiable for me. Wear whatever shoes or boots you're planning to walk in every single training session that you do before the route. They should feel comfortable from day one. It's a myth that they need breaking in, especially with trainers. Well-fitting shoes should not hurt you at all in the first place, and they're only going to get worse. Get properly fitted at a specialist shop if you can, and remember that your feet are going to swell on long walks, especially in the heat, so size up half a size or so if you're unsure. Number 12, decide your walking distances. It helps to arrive on the Camino with a rough sense of how many kilometres you'd like to cover each day. This shouldn't be your maximum effort. Ideally, it's a comfortable target with room to push on if you're feeling good or pull back if you're not. Most pilgrims average probably 20 to 25 kilometres a day, with some walking up to 30. Guidebooks and apps suggest stages as a starting point, but splitting or combining them to suit your own pace is completely normal. Do not think that you have to walk the same as everyone else. Number 13, think about what you actually want to see on the route. Before I walked my first Camino, I don't know why, but I just had this path, maybe a bit like the Mesita on the Camino Frances. I hadn't anticipated how many outstanding cities, towns, and villages there would be along the way, and each has its own character and charm. Have a think beforehand about what matters to you. Is it seeing cathedrals, monasteries, maybe a particular stretch of scenery, or a town that keeps coming up on people's accounts that you love the look of? You don't need like a rigid sightseeing plan, but a loose sense of what you'd love to see means that you're less likely to walk straight past it. 14, consider building in a rest day. Even if you're fit and well prepared, a rest day mid-Camino can be genuinely life-changing. It gives your body time to recover, your feet a chance to breathe, and sometimes it's just a chance to wash all your laundry, catch up with people at home, or just, spend the day journaling or reading. A lot of pilgrims who didn't plan a rest day end up taking one anyway, and we certainly have done that. Places like Pamplona, Burgos, and Leon are popular on the Frances, but there's lots of other popular resting places along the way. Number 15, sketch out your daily stages. So there are two types of people on the Camino in my experience: the fly by the seat of their pants type and the meticulous spreadsheet planners. The best approach, in my view, sits somewhere in between. Before each Camino, I sketch a rough plan of our daily stages. It's not a rigid timetable, it's more of a framework. It helps us to book accommodation, manage expectations, and avoids accidentally covering extremely long or extremely short days when the next village is miles away. We may not stick to it, but it's just helpful to have that framework. Number 16, book accommodation. So once you've got a rough plan, think about your accommodation. This is entirely personal. Some pilgrims book nothing and they love everything ahead and peace of mind. But others book. My approach tends to be hybrid. I always book the first 2 or 3 nights, since arriving exhausted somewhere unfamiliar and scrambling for a bed is not a good start. I'll also book any albergues that I really want to stay in. So Casa Susi on the Frances, for example, was a non-negotiable for us. Private rooms on weekends or bank holidays are worth booking ahead, since they do fill up quickly, and I always book Santiago in advance to lock in a decent rate. If you're walking peak season, so summer, Easter, or you're mostly staying in private rooms, booking ahead gives you a lot more security. If you're happy in municipal albergues and you're happy walking in quieter months, then you can maybe relax a little bit more. 17, test your rain gear. I could tell you so many stories here. There was the first time I walked the Camino with a glorified roof in any meaningful way. There was a poncho that was a disaster. And then there was a time when I had to pad my backpack with bin liners because it did not stop raining for the entire 2 weeks I was walking, which does actually work quite well. Don't make rain gear an afterthought. Research it properly. Think about whether you want a poncho, whether you want something separately to cover your backpack, whether you need a rain jacket with long sleeves. It really depends on the season and how cold you get as a person. Then take it out in the rain to test it. A good waterproof jacket should keep you warm. and then, a good back cover. It's all really worth the investment. 18, think about your why. This might sound a bit philosophical for a practical list, knowing why you're walking even loosely becomes a real anchor when things get hard, and at some point they will. It doesn't need to be like profound. It can just be that you want to improve your health and fitness. Maybe you're processing something, maybe you've just always wanted to do it. Whatever it is, just have that in your mind so that you can keep coming back to it when you hit a hard day. 19, get your credential. The credential is your pilgrim passport, card stamped at albergues, it's like a folded churches, cafes, and other points along the way. At the end, you can present this at the pilgrim office in Santiago and get your Compostela certificate in return. You can get one before you leave your country. So normally through your kind of national confraternity, you can maybe order one online. For example, in England, you can do that. Or you can pick one up at the start of most routes. So Saint Jean de Pierre de Port, there's a pilgrim office that's really well set up. Others, it might be in an albergue or a cathedral. You just have to research where to pick it up. Just be aware that pilgrim offices and cathedrals sometimes have restricted opening hours. So just plan ahead to make sure that you can get it the night before or the day that you're walking. Number 20, set your budget. Costs vary a lot depending on how you decide to travel on the Camino, but as a rough guide, 40 and 70 euros, which covers your accommodation, your food, and any incidentals. But municipal albergues only cost around 10 euros, and you can eat more simple meals to bring that cost down. Private rooms and restaurant dinners are obviously going to push the cost up. So set a rough daily budget before you go and factor in flights, any gear you need, and a small buffer for the unexpected, like a pharmacy visit. 21, pack your bag. This is the moment when it all becomes real, and it's my favourite moment. Lay everything out, every single item, and look at it honestly. Packing cubes are genuinely handy for keeping things compartmentalised as well. That's an excellent way to pack. As a general rule, your loaded pack should not exceed more than 10% of your body weight for comfort over long distances, and that should include your water bottle as well. Most experienced pilgrims aim for about 7 to 8 kilos maximum. If yours is heavier, something needs to come out. So be ruthless and be honest with yourself. If you're not going to use it every day, you don't need it. 22. So take out 1 or 2 unnecessary items. Even after this many Caminos, this is a ritual that I still do every time. It's a bit like the old Coco Chanel line. Look in the mirror before you leave the house and take one thing off. I do the same thing with my backpack. I'm just ruthless. I'll look at it and think, it has to earn its place. Every extra t-shirt, everything in there, hair products, too many blister plasters, whatever it is, it's got to earn its place. Take it out if you don't think it has. 3, get some euros sorted. So you'll need a card that works abroad in Spain if you're not from Spain without any fees, plus some cash. Most places on the Camino take card now, but not everywhere. So for example, municipal albergues and any Donativo albergues, you will still want cash. A travel card like Wise or Revolut, something like that, can help fees down. And withdraw as you go rather than carrying large amounts just for safety, but keep a small reserve tucked into your main wallet. 24, sort out an eSIM or a roaming plan. Check whether your phone works already in Spain, and if not, an eSIM is an easy and usually affordable way to get your phone active in Spain. You can set it up before you travel. We use Airalo. It's a really popular option with good coverage. Having data is genuinely useful for maps, translation, messaging home, and just checking your accommodation. 25, learn a little Spanish or Portuguese. Especially if you're walking one of the routes in southern Spain, a handful of basic phrases makes a real difference. Being able to say hello, order some food, or book a room goes a long way. Finally, number 26, accept now that your plans may change. After 10 or more Caminos, I still haven't as it was, start to finish. On our first Camino, we had a rough sketch of stages and we barely stuck to it. On the Frances, we booked everything ahead and we still made plenty of last minute changes thanks to free cancellation on booking.com and things like that. On the Primitivo, we even decided partway through to leave the route entirely and join another one. It's all part of it. Your plans will shift because of weather, injury, the people you meet, or just a change of heart. And that's fine. That's kind of the point. So that's 26 things to think about before your first Camino. But honestly, don't let this list overwhelm you. Most of it comes together naturally once you start planning. If you want more detail on any of these, from packing to accommodation to daily stages, we've got full guides linked below. Thanks so much for watching.